What is up guys, Wraec here with a new video, and today we finally got the info on how much loot we are going to get at the end of this season. End of season is expected at the 19th of September, so you still have some time to complete some of the goals to further upgrade your loot. It is not a fixed amount for everybody, so not the same for everybody, it depends on the progress you made this season. The reason we get loot is that there are certain seasonal mechanics that are only there this season and will be reset upon reaching the end, allowing old and new players to join into the season again and then compete for the top spots once again. This includes our resonance level past level 240. Resonance synergy is excluded from that, of course, but the seasonal resonance level, as you can say, where's my season level? There. Season level, it says season level because it's seasonal, so it will be reset to 240, which was what we had before the season. The magic charms, of course, also seasonal mechanic will be gone. And then we have the artifacts. Those were all the seasonal artifacts. The old ones, of course, are still available. And then our equipment, this was also upgraded during the season. So all of that will be reset and we will be compensated with loot. And they showed that today for the first time. And I, in this video, want to give you an example of how much loot you can get on my account. So my account will be the example for this, will calculate how much it really is and if you are going to be happy or not. So first off, let's look at the loot. So there was a change actually to this. This was the first thing that we saw, the first shard that we got to see, and you can see talk with designers, waves of intrigue. It's also on the website, their Discord and the news channel on my server, Discord server. If you need the link for that, that's down in the video description. We see the things that we get rewards for. Basically, you need to obtain points, and the season level will be the strongest implicator for how much loot you will get. You get 10 points per season level. So I, for example, am at a season level of 1040, and this would mean that I would get 10,400 points here, which is quite a lot. Season equipment level, usually you will have that at 400. If you see a max, that means 400. Most players reach that rather swiftly, which means you get another 2,000 points here. Pretty cool. Season artifacts, bit of a complicated one to calculate. You have 8 of them usually. There are the 2 extra ones you get from the quests, so it's 8 in total. You get 5 points per level. There are 20 level in this, so it is 8 times 20 times 5. So 8 times 20 is 160, and that times 5 brings us to the 800 that they show here. And then season artifact levels post 20 plus. Yeah, that is a bit of an annoying one really, because if we take a look at that and we go back in game for that, it is one of the things that I really didn't like this season. I only have 2 of those upgraded, the other ones are all level 20, so I really only use those 2. So I here have 7 levels above level 20 on 2 of those artifacts, bringing us to 14 levels that we have to factor in, and that is not a whole lot of points. So it's 2 times 7 times 15, because we have 15 points here, and that gives us, for me at least, 210 points in the example. Season magic charms is an insanely difficult one. It means really every single magic charm. So basically a collection effort. You have to go, need to check on every single hero if you have all of those charms right there, or if you're still missing some. And the max, and I didn't count them actually. I'm trusting Analytica. Discord, great Discord by the way, great community, and in season on that, and they said that there are 400. 400 is the cap of what you can get there. 400 magic charms would mean it's 400 times 20, so you would get 8,000 points through that if you have every single magic charm, which in all likelihood, let's be real, even through RNG, you probably don't. But you can get some extra loot, and maybe we should talk about this. There is, of course, this essence, the Bronco essence, that lets you craft any of the magic charms, and maybe it is also worth it to go to the charm merchant and just buy some of those things. You can see I have 13,000 points here because I got my Dur's trial loot every single day, and that gave me a ton of this essence, making it easy for me to just go in here and maybe click the button and maybe get 1 or 2 extra charms that I still need. So that is one way to actually upgrade your points there. The other is of course mainly through the level. Looking at this cap of 8,000 points, I think the 6,000 points that they set here are pretty likely. So let's say you have 300 of those because you played Durastral the entire season, and I mean, that is a pretty conservative calculation. So that is what we can think with, and that would bring me personally on my account to 19,410 points. So pretty good amount. It also heavily depends, of course, if you have all the heroes, because maybe you don't have some of the charms just because you don't have the hero. Actually, not sure if you can acquire charms for a hero if you don't own it. Not quite sure about that. Maybe you can write it down in the comments. So let's take a look at the loot. This was the first iteration of the loot they posted. This was basically the first idea of the loot. You can see there are certain thresholds. Once you reach 1,000 points, you get this loot. 2,000 points, you get this loot and this loot. 3,000, you get all of this basically. And if you have 10,000 points, that gives you 60 invite letters, 15 epic invite letters, and 22,000 diamonds. And then beyond 10,000 points, it was 1 diamond per 10 points and 1 Twilight Essence per. The community was pretty swift to be angered about that. And they complained, and they actually changed the loot, I think, within like 2 hours or something. It was ridiculous. And what we then got was this new version, and you can see there is some heavy changes to it. We can jump between them a little bit, so you see it easier. Invite letters are gone, so no more invite letters. They are 60 before. We had a total of 75 summons in here. Epic invite letters at 15. So now those are all epic invite letters. You get 90 epic invite letters, which was, I think, like a 100 USD pack, usually. You get 120 temporal essence, that is pretty huge, and a glorious hero chest. Glorious hero chest, also according to Analytica, you can select from one of the following heroes: Telene, Presto, Rainier, Diana, Scalita, Barrier. So if you have 5,000 points, free Hypogean or Celestial hero for you, which is very, very nice, and of course we take that. Very, very, very cool. Next thing, they also halved the amount of points you need per diamond and halved the amount of points you need per Twilight Essence. I'm not quite sure. I think it will be only for the points beyond 10,000. So at the first 10,000 points don't count for that. But I'm not quite sure about that. For the diamonds, it would lead to pretty low amount of diamonds that you would get. For me, with the, as we calculated, 19,410 points. If we just take 9,410 points as a base for the calculation, it would only give us 1,882 gems, which is not quite a lot. If you calculate for the whole amount, that's actually a substantial amount more, still a lot less than the 22,000 gems or something they wanted to give in the first iteration of this. We see that there was a lot more diamonds in there, so I quite prefer this one, obviously. For the Twilight Essence, 9,410 as a base seems much more appropriate. There we are looking at 94 Twilight Essence, which is quite a lot. 94 Twilight Essence is a ton, which leads me to believe that they are only going to calculate the points beyond 10,000 for this, as you already got loot for everything below that. The diamonds still seem weirdly low, and I'm not quite sure. I think if they made 10 per 5 points, that would have been a bit more appropriate, especially in light of their first plans of giving us diamonds. But overall, I have to say, I think the loot in here is quite insane. That is really quite a ton of loot, and definitely a well appreciated change by the developers here towards this new version of the loot, and I think very well worth so now to aim for those 10k points. And let's talk a little bit about good ways to achieve that, and a little bit more about some things that you might still want to do in this season. So starting off, the main thing that we saw was that the season resonance level is really the most important thing, which is quite insane. So the Mr. City that we saw and that we showed, he will definitely have a field day with this. I'm not sure what his season resonance level is, but considering he was at 1000 like over a month ago, I think it will be quite mad. So that mostly depends, of course, on your auto progress and stages. I was particularly lazy with that. I tell you that. I was particularly lazy with that, so I didn't really do much. One thing that you can do, of course, they put this saved attempts feature in here. Maybe you have some unused attempts in here. Not that you necessarily want to spend gems. I'm not quite sure, that's not worth it. But if you have some attempts like the free ones here, for example, those are still very much worth using. So definitely make sure you go in here and you hit the claim all button once so that you see if there is anything that you can claim for free. And until the end of the season, I would make sure you claim all of your free attempts, you claim all of your loot, you make sure not to cap, because that will bring you the level ups, and those are always points. Just like that, we actually again got a few extra resonance levels. Then again, we also already calculated with 1040. Till the end, it will be a bit higher. The other things are not really that insane. We can't do much about the equipment level. I would assume most of you maxed that already. I think I pretty much maxed it a few weeks after the end of the season. You should still be able to do that within the given time. I wouldn't focus too much on artifacts. Like, if you don't have them, they kind of took a long time. You can get the last two maybe. This is still a decent amount of points, but also really not too much. So putting too much effort into this, I hardly think it's worth it. I would say maybe climbing tower a little bit, because in Tower and Legend Trial you get the resources for the artifact upgrades. That can be worth it, but not for the reason that you get more points for the season, but mostly because you get extra points in Dream Realm and can maybe get some cheap and easy temporal essence before everybody starts playing again at the start of the next season. So that maybe is a thing. Beyond that, I would make sure that you unlock more Duras Trial charms if you have the option to do so. You might have some saved attempts in here like me. I pretty much lost focus on Duras Trial. It wasn't really too interesting for me, I have to say. But you can of course go in here, and if you find a record like this and you can beat the stage, you can just try to do that and maybe put some attempts towards it. And usually it requires a little bit of RNG, as you can't really have a level advantage. But once you get a lucky attempt, you should be able to clear a stage. And if you do that, you always get some free charms. So you should always be able to get a few free charms out of that. And that is a pretty good thing, as this will also help you continue your journey and continue getting some extra points through that. But as you can see, even with the successful attempts, it requires some attempts. That is really all you can do. Try to clear maybe a little bit more of the campaign, even though you have a limited amount of time now. It's still like 3 weeks, so you can still collect a ton of levels, upgrade that, and get yourself some nice Twilight Essence. We also have a game mode upcoming, the Ravaged Realm, so that is also a good thing. And right now you can see the event with the crystals is back, and they changed it a little bit, made it a little bit less time consuming, so that is a good thing as well. Tell me down below in the comments if you are happy with the loot now. I personally am very much happy with it, and think that that they did a surprisingly good job with it now that they changed it. I was very afraid of this moment, actually. I thought, yeah, that they won't do very well with it, and that they actually start a little bit of a hate wave here. And I'm very happy that they didn't and gave us some proper loot. And I'm very eager to use my epic summons and get some nice heroes and maybe work towards Paragon 3 now, or at least a few more Paragon 2 heroes. So, with that being said, please make sure you subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video, and with that, I wish you a great day, and we'll see us in the next one.